Hello and welcome back to Nolan Financial Radio. My name is Chris McKinney from Nolan Financial Partners. If you'd like more information about what you hear during today's show, give us a call at 719-210-4242 or visit us online at nolanfinancialpartners.com. And while at our website, click on the radio page, check out past shows, and you can also subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Podcast, and Google Podcast. Just pretty much everywhere you can find your podcasts. So once you go there, and if you think you might want to chat with us, set up a face-to-face or virtual meeting. We're doing both. After years, decades really of hard work, you've certainly earned the right to fulfilling retirement that's built around the activities and experiences you've long been dreaming about, right? At the same time, you're taking a huge plunge into retirement. It's a little scary, right? Because you want to make sure the timing is just perfect and that your income plan and your other necessary strategy elements are squared away. So during our show today, we're going to discuss some of the benchmarks that may set you back and say, yes, I'm ready to retire. But before we talk about getting into your retirement timing, let me introduce you to my co-host, Tony Shore, whose impeccable sense of timing is one of the things that have made this show so much fun to put together each week.
I don't know about any of that, Chris. Yeah, it sounds like, I don't know. I don't know about that, but yeah, I try to drop in with the right comment here and there. But you guys are the experts, so I leave it up to you. You're the financial services professionals, you and Tara. So, but Chris, it's great to be here with you again. I love doing the show with you each week. You know that. We have a lot of fun doing it as well. And once again, Tara's off gallivanting, and you're holding down the fort. I love it. And I'm glad it gives us a chance to hang out, right?
I'm sure our listeners miss Tara because she's a much better and clearer educator than I am. But I enjoy doing the show and I enjoy getting to see you. And then I'm an educator by birth, right? My parents were teachers. My
Sure.
grandparents were teachers. My aunts and
Wow.
uncles were teachers.
Wow.
Everybody was teachers. So
Wow.
I like educating people on finances, and so that's what the show is
Yeah.
about. Is giving somebody some people's perspective, some nuggets that they can hold on to and help with their finances.
Yeah. Well, and the whole theme of the show today, you're asking the question, how do I know when it's time to retire? And I think it's going to be a short show because that's an easy answer. Whenever Chris tells me, when Chris and Tara tells me it's time,
Well,
it's time.
that's the best thing to do is go find somebody that's outside looking in and it can
Yes.
help you with those decisions.
Can look at
Uh,
the big picture objectively, right? Because you're
right.
too close to it yourself, right? So I'm too close to my own retirement. My wife and I are right. We're too close to our own financial situation, so emotions come into it.
That's right.
But yes, you're right, Chris. I think that illustrates why you need to work with financial services professionals like yourself, who aren't emotionally attached, who can look at it objectively and look out for your best interests. Sometimes we need that despite ourselves. Sometimes we need help seeing what is in our best interest because we don't know what we don't know. And, most people, our listeners out there, viewers, only retire once, right? They're going to retire once. Hopefully they'll only retire once, but you and Tara do it every day.
Yeah.
You're going through the process every day with clients, people you meet with, listeners who call in. So I encourage our listeners to give you a call and set up that consultation, at least get a plan in place, at least see where you're at, that initial consultation. There's no cost. So call 719-210-4242. That's 719-210-4242. And we all know why the 4242 is there. We all know the number 42 is the answer to life, the universe, and everything, right? The great English writer Douglas Adams
Yes.
said 42 is the answer. We just don't know what the question is.
I had not put that together, that our phone number related to Douglas Adams. I have read the book, and I
Yeah.
don't know if you've ever asked, if you have Alexa, ask Alexa, what is the secret to life? It used to tell you 42. I haven't tried it in a while.
It does. It does. I ask, yeah, if you ask your Alexa device, if you have an Alexa device, what is the answer to life?
Yeah,
She'll say 42. Yeah.
42.
Yeah, we just don't know what the exact question to get to that number is, but we know the answer is 42.
That's
For our
right.
listeners out there who don't know what we're talking about, we went a little inside there. If you've ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it's a great series. It was
Oh, yeah.
supposed to be a trilogy, and I think there are 5 books. And Douglas Adams joked, on the 4th book, he said, "The ever increasing inaccurate trilogy." Hitchhiker's Guide to
Right.
the Galaxy trilogy. This is part 4.
And
So,
it,
yeah. So knowing when it's time to retire, the number 42 might not help you with that. You probably shouldn't retire at 42. That's probably not
no,
gonna work for most people. But you share a lot of different details week to week, and this is our chance to go a little deeper on this topic. So where do you want to begin, Chris?
well, the first thing, everybody's got a lot of anxiety about when they should retire. And so most people want to know when they should do that. And they start asking that question. They have anxiety if they're going to outlive their savings and investments. Are they going to be able to cover all their cost in retirement, between healthcare and housing costs and transportation costs, and then the fun things they want to do, right? Because that's one of the
Sure.
things we help people do, is figure out what they want to do.
Right.
So people really need to uh, think about retirement so that they can remove that anxiety. There's no reason to live with anxiety. Let's just make
No.
a plan. It's very easy from my perspective as the planner, right? Uh, Not everybody still has anxiety. So let's discuss some signs that you might be ready to retire. So the
Okay.
first is you've hit your full retirement age, right? So a lot of people think if you hit my full retirement age, it's time to retire. So if you were born between 1943 and 1954, your full Social Security retirement age is 66. If you were born anytime after 1959, you'll have to hit 67 before you hit full retirement age due for Social Security. So if you're somewhere between 1954 and 1959, it's 66 and some months. And we can help you figure that out if you don't know what that is. Well,
Yeah.
you can
I
begin
was
collect.
told there would be no math, so I'm gonna need your help. Yeah.
You can begin as early as 62, but it could cost you 25% on that
Hmm.
monthly payment. So you really want to consider what that might impact, how that might impact your retirement.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, obviously, if you take Social Security as soon as you can at 62, if your monthly payment is decreased or slashed by 25%, it may not sound like a lot, 25%, but over the course of your entire retirement, that could be 20 years or more. We're talking about a lot of money.
It's a considerable sum when you start adding up all the years that you're going to be living in retirement.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the other part is if you take your Social Security after your full retirement age, if you wait all the way until 70, you'll receive as much as 132% of that monthly payment.
Wow.
So that's a, a lot more money. And then if you do end up waiting, that also affects your survivor benefits for your spouse.
Hmm.
So if you have 132% of that more money, that you can pass on to your spouse, that's a lot nicer financial situation. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm actually older than Tara, so she's going to be around a lot longer than I am. So we're going to try to maximize my Social Security so that it'll help her out.
Even if you were the same age, Chris, she's going to outlive you by quite a bit.
Well,
I mean, let's
this
let's be honest.
this is
She's gonna
true.
outlive us all, right? I mean,
The
yeah,
the women in her family last into their 90s already.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and the men in my family, uh, rarely reach 80.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's the
yeah,
problem. Women always outlive men, typically, not always, but
typically.
typically women outlive men, and if you've ever met Tara, I think she'll outlive us all,
Yes.
men or women. That's just what we're gonna,
uh,
deal with there.
she's she's very active and vibrant and stays really healthy. So
Yeah, she
she's gonna be
does.
around a long time.
She is, and that's great, and so are you, Chris. You see she keeps you healthy, she keeps you going, right?
Yes. So
Didn't
right
mean to put you on the spot. Yeah.
right
So
now we're separated, and I'm having to work out more because I got to get ready. I'm going to see her in a few weeks.
yeah. Well, yeah, you've been yeah, she's over in Europe for a while, and when she comes back, you better be at fighting weight, right?
Oh, that's right.
All right. Well, and I don't think we're breaking any new ground here, Chris, by saying Social Security is a huge part of your retirement planning. For most Americans, it's the foundation of their retirement. No matter how much or how little you have financially, Social Security is a basis. And I think if people have questions or concerns, they should get a hold of you, because if they set up that complimentary consultation, also at no cost, you can run a Social Security maximization report for them and
That's
figure out,
right.
okay, where's the sweet spot for you and your spouse as far as retirement is concerned.
That's right, and that's a really interesting report, and it can show you the details of what you're doing and how it affects your long term, and then how it affects. Okay, if I think I'm going to die, how does it affect my spouse?
Right.
All kinds of things are in there, and it gives you tips about Medicare and a few things as well.
Yeah. Good. So, what's another way we can know, or another factor we need to look at to know when it's time to retire?
Well, now is the big ugly word debt, right? So we need to
Ah,
look and
yes.
see if we're debt free. So a
Mm,
lot of people may still be paying on their house. They may
sure.
have some credit card debt. I actually have a client that's retired that still has student loan debt. Okay, so your situation is unique to you. You may have car debt. So those are things you want to make sure that if, hey, I still have these debts, maybe I'll work an extra year, get these paid off. That way, when I get into retirement, maybe all I have left is a smaller home mortgage or something. Um, but you've got to work that into your retirement because you're living on a fixed income in retirement, right? There's no there's no additional monies that are going to come out of thin air. The lottery does not work for most people. One guy
Right.
got $1 billion, but that was one guy. So a large mortgage, pricey car payment can really squeeze your finances. So you want to make sure that you've
Yeah.
planned for that, and get that debt knocked down.
Yeah, that's huge. Obviously, a debt would really slow down a retirement and could derail your retirement. So you want to be as debt free as possible before you retire. Good advice. We should probably let our listeners know here how they can get a hold of you. One more time, give that information, your website and your phone number, Chris.
Well, Tony, our listeners can visit us at our website at nolanfinancialpartners.com, or they can call us at 719-210-4242. And if they call us off the radio show, we offer a complimentary consultation. So give us a call now, and we can help you start to prepare for your retirement that you've worked really so hard for, right?
Yeah, I think that's important. And thanks for that, Chris. Now, in today's show, you've been talking about some of the signs that you're in the right financial position to retire or clock out of work for the last time and head into that wonderful world of retirement, right? And you've explained some of the factors you need to look at are hitting your full retirement age, when to file for Social Security and what situation you're in there, and then being debt free. Those are biggies. Social Security, your full retirement age, debt free. What's something else? What do you have for us next?
Well, the other thing is a lot of people current family obligations that they're still taking care of either some children or grandchildren or maybe
Sure.
even parents, right? And so you want to assess your current family obligations and make sure that you have a plan for how you're going to either continue that or they're going to be able to start taking care of themselves, depending on who they are. So supporting parents and kids can become really expensive, um, and especially with the cost rising of college and housing, those kind of things. So it's going to be really hard to downsize and minimize your expenses in the way that many retirement strategies call for, because you're supporting something that's outside of a typical plan.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, that's true, and financial obligations, beyond yourself, your, adult children, your parents, they call it the sandwich generation. My wife and I find ourselves in that situation right now. My mom is actually I'm in the process of helping her get into assisted living, and then we have adult children. My son's going to grad school and just got married, and
Oh,
can they
wow.
support themselves? So, yeah, we're caught in between with some of those familia expenses, I guess, as you'd
So,
call them. But you're going to want to be transparent about those issues if you have adult children that you're supporting or helping out your parents. You need to be transparent about that when you do meet with Chris and Tara, because you guys need to know about that, because then you can offer potential solutions. But the only way you can help them if you fully understand their financial situation, to help them know when the best time to retire would be, right?
that's right. We sometimes become financial counselors about
Sure.
budget, right? And so that's something that they have to account for when they start thinking about retirement. Is how am I going to cover financial obligations to my family? So now we're talking about budget. That's kind of next thing on our list is, have you completed a retirement budget? So we can help you do that. But you need to make sure you have a sound spending plan in retirement. So I can tell you from personal experience that the surprising number of people, they jump into retirement without a plan on how they're going to spend their money to make sure that they cover all their bills and they can still have money to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
Now, there's something to keep in mind, and we're experiencing that here in 2022, is inflation. Your budget should reflect that you have monthly expenses that may change. Uh,
Yeah. True.
so things that are going to change is housing, gas, groceries, utilities. So you want to make sure that you have a plan for how those things are going to change. One of the great things about Social Security is it does have adjustment for inflation. But guess what doesn't have an adjustment for inflation? That's your investments.
Mm,
They only can grow at the
sure.
rate they grow, right? If inflation outpaces them, hopefully they will respond, but maybe not. So you got to make sure that you can adjust for those monthly needs that might change.
Yeah. Well, and we talk about budgeting, and you hate to use the B word, right? Budget. And I look forward to doing a budget about as much as I look forward to scooping your horse stalls over there, Chris.
Well,
It's
that's why we call it a spending plan, because
that's
guess what?
right.
A,
That's right.
a budget is about restriction, but a
Yes,
spending plan is about how I've got all this money. How am I going to spend it and have fun with it? And so
there you go. I
that's
like
how
that.
that's how we approach retirement. Is we don't like to talk budgets. Like to talk spending plans. How are we going to have fun with our money?
All right. That's good. That's good. So, what else do we need to know to figure out if we're ready to retire or not? What do we need to be looking at?
Um, well, so for most of us, we need to figure out how much money we're going to need in retirement. And so a lot of financial professionals say 70 to 80% of pre-retirement
Yep.
income is a good place to start. However, then when we go back and look at that, we have to figure out, okay, how am I going to spend my money? Now, maybe 70-80% is what your required spending plan is, but maybe your spending plan is going to be 110% of your pre-retirement income
Right. Right.
because you're
Who
going to
wants to
do a
take a
bunch.
pay cut in retirement?
Yeah, who wants
Nobody.
to take a paycheck? No. And
I
guess what?
wait.
Now,
I'm only going to have 70% of my income after I retire.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now I have time, right? And so I've got time to go do a lot of things I want to do. So
Yeah.
let's make sure you have all the monies that you need to go travel and see the world and
Right.
do some special things. So make sure that we have a plan for that. We'll get a baseline, and then we add to that baseline. It's kind of how we work.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. And figuring out that amount, everybody wants to know what's my magic number. There is no magic number, but if you're looking at the big picture, you can look at all the different parts and allocate your assets to make it happen when it needs to happen or you want it to happen. You can look at those things, and that's what you do. And you help your clients make those tough decisions, and you show them ways to figure this out. I like that. And I think, again, it illustrates that retirement is simply too important to try to go it alone.
Yeah, I mean, why would you have an amateur planning 30 years of your financial life? You're an
Right.
amateur is you.
Right. That's true. Yeah. It's me, not you. Me.
It's
I
you.
get it. Yeah. Yeah, I think
So
people know which one of us is the amateur based on just the shirts we're wearing today. I think that's why I wear this shirt and you wear that shirt.
yeah. Well, the difference between surviving and thriving is having a professional help you.
Yeah, there you go. So what's next?
So the next thing on my little list here is have I reviewed my portfolio, my investments?
Ah,
How uh, are they? What is the size? Is it big enough? What is my expected growth rate? And I'll add to that, what is my risk? Because with
sure.
growth rate, good growth rate, maybe you've got greater risk. Lower growth rate, maybe less risk.
Right.
There has to be a balance, and that's why we want to review those portfolios. And so the third is, what kind of withdrawals are you going to need to make in order to maintain the lifestyle that you're looking for in retirement? Um, so how much you're going to pull off of it. We have some fancy financial software that can help predict all those things. It can add in a lot of the things of, say, market volatility, inflation, um, obsolescence of technology. There's a lot of factors that that detract from our nest egg, right? That
Right.
aren't obvious to most people. So we
Right.
come in with a financial strategy that will help mitigate those factors. And once we can get those factors mitigated, then you can spend to your heart's content.
Yeah. It's like when you and Tara looked at my financial situation and said, yeah, the biggest risk to your nest egg, Tony, are pizza buffets. And so I'm kidding. I always got to bring up pizza on the show. At least once a show. I've got to bring that up. But again, you're talking about portfolios and the market. I mean, look at 2022. Look at where we're at.
Oh,
The
yeah.
market has been extremely down and volatile. Well, it's been really volatile since 2020, since
Very
COVID,
volatile.
but it went way down, then it went way up, hit record highs, and then
Right.
it's just been on a roller coaster ride ever since, especially down this year. Now we're seeing a little upswing.
Yeah.
So to deal with this market volatility, once again, I wouldn't want to navigate the market without the help of a financial services professional, right?
That's right. And, so what are you going to do in retirement when the market is down 20% like it has been this
Yeah,
year? That's a challenge.
it is.
Do you still spend that capital out of your savings, or do you have some kind of alternate fund that you can rely on? So that's what we help people do, is make those decisions and get all different styles of asset classes working for them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's hugely important, obviously. So I think we've had a great show so far today. Let's take a minute to once again let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you and set up that complimentary consultation.
So our listeners can reach us at 719-210-4242. Give us a call. We'll set up that complimentary consultation. We can do it virtually or we can do it in person. Also visit our website at nolanfinancialpartners.com. Check us out over there. You can click on the radio page. There's a big icon, kind of looks, there's a radio microphone. Click on that guy and you can listen to our previous shows. And then you could add it to your Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, and Amazon podcast. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that we just have a couple of minutes left. I didn't realize the show just flew. The show just flew by today. I had another segment of questions I wanted to ask you, but I think we're talking about when to retire, and obviously some people want to retire early, and some people want to retire late. But one last thing I was going to ask you about that could affect their decision is healthcare, right? I mean, Medicare doesn't kick in until 65, and couples,
Right.
especially who are different ages like you and Tara, that becomes an issue, right?
That's right. And so ballpark, if for the Affordable Care Act, you're going to pay about $450 a month for a single person on one of those plans, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's individual, but so until 65, that's what you're going to be on is through the exchange. So compare that to the $170 a month you'd pay on the standard Medicare Part B premium. That's a huge difference.
Yeah,
So
it
so
is.
you got to make sure that you factor that in. The
Yep.
other thing is you need to factor in the cost of prescriptions.
That's true.
I'm not sure about you, Tony, but I have about 4 prescriptions, and I get them.
I have 4 myself, actually.
and I get them every 90 days.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty lucky that I retired under the military healthcare system.
Yeah.
So I don't have to pay for prescriptions, but
That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you for your service too.
Appreciate that.
That's awesome.
But I know my clients do, and so we
Yeah.
always make sure that we plan for that. If
Yeah.
you've got a medication that is tough to pay for, then we want to make sure we budget for that
Sure.
and have that as part of your plan.
Yeah, I think that's very important. Well, that's a good note to end on. Give that phone number one more time before we go.
Give us a call at 719-210-4242 to set up your complimentary consultation. Call now.
All right, and that does it for today's episode of Nolan Financial Radio with our host, Chris McKinney.
Join us again soon for another episode of Nolan Financial Radio.